Well, that's disappointing news. Hubs have failed. So when we dismantled, pressed apart, re-greased and pressed back together the hubs 4 months ago, well, they knew what they were saying when they said they weren't rebuildable, or I guess the phrase I'd use is disposable. There's no way in hell on a truck this big that you shouldn't be able to rebuild the bearings. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a point of intentional failure, and it's a money grab for parts. But when we pressed ours apart, re-greased, pressed them back together, it didn't hold. So I'll get it out, look at it, but I think I gotta buy new ones. Okay, so the truck is up on jack stands. It's dropped this front wheel way down. Nice place to work on it. And the thing that might completely save my ass on this little venture was that I coated everything in anti-seize before I put it back together. So with luck, this will just pop off with none of the brutal fighting of before. We'll see. So with the puller in place, and it's much smaller than the one I used last time. I have a big hammer hub puller for the Jeep, which I could upgrade to this, you know, but that's also how we broke it last time too. And I gotta pull all of those. Don't forget to pull those. You forget to pull those and you're gonna have a very bad time. So there are the 4, I guess you'd call them flange bolts. 12 point. They're out. So, like I said, this has only been together now 3 months, 4 months, and it was all anti-seized. So, you know, I'm like trying to get those kingpins off for the first time or something horrible like that. This should, with luck, come right apart. We'll see. Yep, the anti-seize worked. So there she is. Now the book says you got to remove this wire all the way up into the truck, which was brutal last time we did it. We did it to the other wheel, and what we discovered was that if you rotate this in where the studs press in, there's plenty of room to unscrew that, and it'll come right out, so you don't actually have to mess with pressing in the studs or whatnot with this very expensive little wire hanging there in the way. It'll come out. So that's what I got to do next. There it is apart. That's what's wrong with it. You know, I know it came back apart, but dang, there is still part of me that feels that if I pressed it together and staked it, it's pressed together on this shaft here, and so they're a press fit bearing, and they pushed them down. And so what we did is we pressed them apart, dang nabbit, and then re-greased them, and so this is now moving. You know, there's just nothing that rides there. There isn't. There's just nothing. I don't see why I couldn't push this back down and stake it. Why couldn't I? Why couldn't I stake it, press her back together, stake it hard, right there, right there, right there, right there, so that it can't come back up? There's nothing on that surface. This line right here is this line right here. So something staked down in there. You gotta remember, this thing will push, you know, it's gonna go down to 16. And it's not that I'm being a cheap bastard. There was just nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them at all. If this had been regular wheel bearings, you'd have given them another shot of grease, you know, repacked them, put it back together, new seal on it, and she'd be good to go forever. I don't know why they have to do stuff like this. Yes, indeed. After consulting the trust, we are going to give this a shot. We're going to press this back down, and then I'm going to try to stake it right down in there. See if we can bend some of this over. There's some debate about whether or not I'll be able to do that. How hard this really is. We'll know in a little bit. Well, it's staked very easy. Maybe too easy. I don't know. I'm using this, which is a punch made from an armored piercing 50 caliber bullet. My father made it for me years ago. He stripped the copper jacket off, drill a hole in the lathe that's just a tiny bit undersized, some of that nasty red Loctite, press her in with a little heat, and works great. And it's just harder than the hobnails in hell, and it dented that pretty good. So now I'm going to come back with a big flat punch, and since it, you know, it lifted some of this, I'm going to whack each one of them to drive them down flush, so that this mating surface, which doesn't appear to actually mate on anything, I believe this is the one that's important, but so that this mating surface is hunky-dory. But that seems to have gotten it. We'll see. If it did, it just saved me $800. It's worth a try. There she be. That right there, that's the sound of $400 being saved. Like I said, if you watched our videos earlier, these are the hubs that we rebuilt. There was nothing wrong with them. I need to replace the rotors. In the course of pulling the rotors, because the truck came from near the coast, we pulled the hubs apart. They're not supposed to go apart. Once we had them apart, figured, well, hell with it, let's just clean them up. They looked spotless. So we re-greased them, pressed them back together. I did not stake them. Now they've been staked. Everything is hunky-dory. No harm, no foul. This is... See, here you can see why it's not... Why this little test is nothing more than my time. If it goes badly, it's not going to cause an accident. You see the calipers hold it upright. So she's going to give you a lot of warning, especially if you're looking for it. If you know there's a chance something could go wonky and you're looking for it, there's going to be a lot of warning. She can't get free. I've been told that they lean over hard against this caliper here, and then they just shriek like the banshees of hell. Obviously, because it's the inside of your rotor on the edge of the caliper. So lots and lots and lots of warning before anything goes hanky, just like she did for me. Cool beans. I'm always happy to save $800. Here's the true test. No wobble, no clunk. I hope that holds. If it doesn't, I'm gonna weld them. And if that doesn't hold, I'll go spend $800.